This might be a tough thing to show, but I thought it might be useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the carburetors from this Bandit. What you need to do, get the tank off, take off the throttle position sensor, and there's 2 Allen bolts here, 4mm hex heads. Pull those out. That'll allow this whole air box to kind of float. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take off the choke right here. We're going to take off the throttle cables, and this is the tricky part right here. I've already loosened the clamps on both the intake boots and the air box inlet. So this is kind of all just held in by that. You don't have to do anything with the idle mixture or idle set screw. That's all part of the carburetor assembly. And I've gotten fairly proficient at this because I've been doing, it'll probably be 20 times now that I've taken this thing off. And every time I have to relearn it, it takes forever. So this might be useful. It's going to be difficult to show, but what I'm going to do, since those things are all loosened, choke's going to come off first. Choke's really easy. Basically, you can push the slide over, and I actually might even be able to do this with one hand. You push the slide all the way over. Oh, no, you can't. Not with one hand, you can't. What am I hitting? Interesting. Right there. That's not right. Okay. I'm going to put this on the stand and give this a shot. Alright, so the reason that choke slide felt weird to me is because I actually had some choke on it. So, most important thing, you can do this all with a 90-degree pick. You could probably do it with a 35. 90 works way better. So I push the choke slide all the way over, and I can unloop the braided wire, push it down, and I know you probably can't see it, but basically what I did is I pushed this thing out. Then I send this bad boy up. Okay, this fuel line. Now, because I got everything loose, I can pull the air box back. What I'm going to do, actually, I need... I lied. You actually need to undo a clamp too. Push the clip off, and then I can undo this line, this breather from the airbox. I just push that off to the side. Where did I put my pick? Alright, now I can move the airbox all the way back. You can't pull this thing out without taking everything out the middle, so you just kind of move it backwards. Okay, now the carburetors should actually be able to come out of their inlets. They're in there pretty good, but that's actually where my leak is, somewhere on here, and that's actually why I'm pulling it off again. I want to re-inspect this and tighten down all the boots even further, because I got brand new O-rings on them. They're supposed to crush, and maybe I didn't crush them enough. So what I'm going to do is rock this back and forth. Okay, right there. Now, the reason I take this off before taking the throttle cables off is because it allows me to move this thing around. There's a return on this. Basically, there's 2 throttle cables. They pull in opposite directions. And you use 2 hex nuts. And usually, I've got these loose now. If you need to, this looks like a 10mm. Come in with a 10mm wrench and loosen them. So there's an easy one and a hard one. And I will do the easy one first. Label these because half the time before I labeled them, I'd put them in backwards, and then you can't operate it. So I push that out. Now we've got what I call the easy one out. This is where I'm going to use my pick. And you kind of maneuver it around. This one should come out fairly straightforward. Easy peasy, right there. Not bad. Then I tuck it up. Label it. Promise you, label it. Alright, second one. This one's the bitch. This one can give you absolute fits. Alright? Okay. It's not going to show well, but what I'm going to do is I take this 90-degree pick, and what I want to do is I open up the butterfly valves all the way. Gives me more slack, and then I can actually hit it. It's damn near impossible to do it without pulling that thing. So I push it down. I wish I had longer fingers, but I don't. So, don't know that you're going to be able to see this, but if you can, if you have one of these, this will make sense. 90-degree pick, you can kind of push it around, and there it goes. This operation used to take me quite literally hours of frustration. Now the whole thing is loose, and what I'm going to do, everything's disconnected. I'll be able to pull the carburetor out. This is my fuel line. All 4 carbs are capped off. I'll set that there. So at this point, I push the airbox back. Now the carburetor assembly is loose through here. And I can slide it. Why are you holding on? Stop holding on. Ow. There's my carburetor assembly. Got it out. Sit down, boy. Don't fall. All right. So to put it back in, just reverse the entire process. What I want to do here is put a little bit of grease on these, and actually, I'm going to go through and, well, first I'll remove the oil cooling lines so I can get my 5mm hex. These are all 5mm hex, both the oil coolant lines and the boots. I'm going to crush these boots down further. They look good to me. These may actually be my culprit, but that's the removal. So I'm going to do this reinstall with a different camera view. I think you might be able to see it a bit more. I went through and I tightened all of the intake boots, so those are completely crushed down. I'm pretty confident about that. The part I'm worried about where I'm chasing this vacuum leak is actually with these clamp clips, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the carburetor back through, and I want these clamps to be up top. They're loose on here now, but I want them to be up top for when I reinstall this. So I'll go through and flip them all back up top. So this is going to come back through. I got to push the airbox back. Okay. Alrighty. Now eventually this is going to push into these boots, but I don't want to do that yet because I need to do the throttle cable first. Now I labeled them. This is my easy one, so I'm going to hide him for now. This is my hard one. So my handy dandy little pick. What I'm going to do is tilt this up forward as much as I can, and I'm going to push on the butterfly. This is actually one of those sink screws that I'm going to be pushing on, and that's just how it goes, but I need to, ouchies. Come on. Ow, 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 ow. Okay. I got that all the way down. Okay. The slide rod for the choke, this needs to go in between it. And now, oh great, I got a camera in my head. This is going to be more difficult with the camera. Basically, I need to line this up. Come on, there. Just got it. No, I just want to get it resting, and then I'm going to go in with my pick. Okay. Let's see if we can get lucky. Oh, yes. All right. That is the hardest part. Okay. Then I need my screw under, and I tighten down on my nut just so it doesn't come flying out. We can adjust the throttle cable after. All right, so that is number one. Okay, now for the easy one. Here's my easy. He is up front, and I can see it. I don't push on my return this time, because all I'm doing is putting that through here. Come on. Oh, I did it without even having... All right, now that's gonna come up, and I'm just gonna tighten down the nut. I'll come back and fix these after with the throttle. But that is the most difficult part that I found. All right, so now what I'm going to do is push my boots in. You'll hear it I don't know if you'll hear it. You definitely feel it. Now I'm chasing a vacuum leak, so I've greased these up. Maybe it's not the right idea. I know some people recommend against it, but honestly, I'm running out of ideas, so this is what I'm trying. Before you push these in, make sure all of your clamps are up, because you can't flip them once it's out. So I'm pushing in. All right, and it seats. Okay, so let's see, what else do we got here? We have, this is the part I forget most often, the choke cable. This one's the easiest. Basically, you can just hook it on right away. Okay, and you don't need any tools for this. All right, so it's loose there. And then to get it under this guide, just push the slide right all the way over and flip it under. And now my choke is in, so I can operate my choke back and forth. So what else do I got? I have to clamp down all of these clamps, and I am going to wring the shit out of it. Use a JIS bit, or you are going to strip these things. This is the throttle position sensor. It is hanging off of, here you're hiding. Okay, this is just going to connect in here. I always forget this thing, so I want to do it now. Clicks right in. This is for the, no, this one's not used. Back here, it's probably not in the shot, is the fuel position sensor that's actually connects to the bottom of the gas tank. So now what I'm going to do is go through and, well, let's see here. I need to clamp down these clamps, but the other thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to get this air box set up on the inlet of the carburetor, and then I'm going to push that in all the way so this assembly kind of floats. Then there's two 10mm hex heads, so I'm going to grab that. These are 4mm hex heads. Did I say 10mm? These are 4. The hex heads are 4mm. So I'm going to screw these in. These are pretty long ones. They go way in there. Okay. Tighten these down. Almost there. Okay, that's one. And number 2 is right here. And what's going to happen is, well, it's already happened. This assembly is locked into place. It's not going to move back and forth. But I need to grab my screwdriver. And I'll just do a couple of these. Basically, I need to tighten down on these clamps. And the popping noises I am hearing are almost certainly coming from these things not being tightened well enough. Maybe the boots are worn out and I just can't tighten them enough. But I'm gonna get this one all the way. Use a JIS, not a Phillips, or you'll strip the shit out of these things. Doing one more. I usually put a finger down to hold it while it's loose, or else this thing just spins all over the place. I was using a longer screwdriver for this, but I don't have any long JIS ones, so now that I've been really, there, that's a better angle, really reaming on these things, just getting in here with this one. Okay, so I will go around and tighten all of these super tight. When we get the gas tank back on, this is what's going to connect into the petcock. I could probably figure out how to put an inline filter on this. For now, I'm not. I don't think it came with one. I replaced this fuel line. The little guard on it doesn't fit with this much thicker fuel line that I put on. It's the same inner diameter, but it's a thicker outer diameter. Anyway, I feel more comfortable having a new fuel line on, just in case the ethanol was eating through the old ones. These are breather ports. I don't have hoses for these yet. For testing, it's not going to matter. Basically, these don't connect to anything. You just run them back towards the battery. Those are the float breathers. So as fuel goes into the engine, here and here are going to allow air to fill back up the bowls. So I will go around to the other side and I will clamp these down, and then I will clamp down all of the airbox ones. And this, theoretically, should be good to go. That being said, I expect to have another vacuum leak because I can't win with this fucking machine. So, that's what we got.